Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi. Okay, we're looking around. This is the 77 WABC minicast.
And Bernadette is on the line from New Jersey. Bernadette, thank you for waiting. How are you this morning?
Somebody said something to me and he goes, oh, you're from...
And turn off the radio, Bernadette. Let's make sure people are there. Meanwhile, John Katzmatidis is still with us, ladies and gentlemen, and Ed Cox has joined us, who also has some pretty strong creds when it comes to dealing with the China question. Welcome to you both.
Good to be on.
Thank you. So what do you make of events of the day and the impact that it's going to have on the geopolitical world as we know it today?
It will be very difficult for Russia or China to get involved in this kind of a war. Russia's got its hands full with Iran, where they're losing more troops than they can replace. And China is not one to project power in this kind of situation. Maybe some supplies to Iran, which would be very dangerous, particularly some of their anti-ship weapons. So we got to be sure that doesn't happen. But otherwise, China is not going to get involved.
Okay, I've been asking people all morning, Ed, by the way, Ed, I just have to say this. One of my heroes in the foreign policy scene, you know quite well, his name Richard Milhouse Nixon.
Oh yes, I traveled all over the world with him. You are right. He was a terrific analyst of foreign policy, and after every stop we made and the leaders he talked to, we talked about it, and he and they, and this is when he was a former president, they dealt like equals, and he understood what they were saying, they understood what he was saying. And his advice was valued all over the world.
Absolutely. So I just want to ask you about this. When you start a military mission, the fear is it never goes as planned. You either come out something better than expected or something worse than expected. Best case scenario, worst case scenario. What do you think?
Well, you got to look at Trump's background and what he did with military actions. The very first one that he took, it was in response to the deal between FDR and Abdulaziz, who was the start of the Saudi dynasty, obviously, and that is they supply us with oil, we defend them, particularly against Iran. Iran attacked their refineries, and no deaths. So we had to respond. And the planes were on the way. They were honed in. And with 10 minutes to go, he was informed 300 Iranians would be killed. He said, whoop, call it off. The commander said, oh, blank. But he managed to call it off just in time. And everyone said, he's not that big red line, between FDR and Abdulaziz. But several months later, he took out Soleimani, which was a much better response because that destroyed the person who was at the center of the Iranian crescent from Hamas to Hezbollah and in Iraq with the militants there and over to the Houthis. And he was the key to it. And by taking him out, that was his response, a very smart response. He didn't forget, and he did it in the right way. So The next was, of course, taking out Maduro. A nice in and out. Yeah, 32 Cubans were killed, but they were supposed to be defending Maduro. The Delta Force, they just wipe out anyone in their way to get their mission done. And they got it done. That's a message to Cuba, too. But no immediate regime change. Same with the B-2s taking out the Iranian nuclear. Israel cleared the way. No aerial defenses. We sent the B-2 in, and that took out the Iranian nuclear capability for the time being. So,
by the way,
that's
you mentioned
history.
something
it's very
here.
Intelligent use of force, and I think
Very
that's what's
intelligent
going on
use of force. Here. Good. I have to ask you this. You just mentioned Cuba in passing. Yesterday, the story broke that the Trump administration is talking with it. There's a dialogue underway. Don't quite know what that means. But Donald Trump floated the idea of a friendly takeover of Cuba by the United States. It's
already happened because it was collateral damage with taking out Maduro. And Trump talked about the oil and, the New York Times, they all poo-pooed it. But I'll tell you, in taking out that oil and preventing the oil shipments, they had to come to the United States, which is good for us, by the way. Our refineries take heavy oil, and that's heavy oil from Venezuela. They're designed to do that. They're doing that again. That's good for America. But in the process, he also prevented oil from going from Venezuela to Cuba and from other countries to Cuba. Cuba, under socialism, under communism, is a dead country. I travel there, and it's just dead. I mean, there's no activity. Everyone's shuffling around, looking lost. And it used to be one of the most vibrant countries in Latin America, destroyed by communism. And so what he has done now, he said, okay, I'll start supplying with oil. So he's got control now of the most important thing that they need, oil to power their electricity plants so that people can have some kind of a life there. So he has really taken it over by taking over their oil supply.
Wow. Pretty amazing. Ed Cox, thank you for joining us. Again, just as I said to KT, we're going to have you back for longer discussions. We are looking at a fundamental change in what is called, and I say in quotes, the world order. I know how that hits conspiracy.
Well, I can't go too far in this. Remember, this is very strategic, and it's going to be limited in a way. Just take out military assets and the people who took out the protesters, who killed up to 40,000 protesters. We'll see what happens with the people in the streets. We'll see what happens. But at the moment, it is a very limited kind of process. Yes, there'll be a lot of firepower, but it's being limited to military to take out missiles, maybe some of their uranium sites, and taking out the.
But do you see the government of Iran surviving this as they are currently? Do you see them surviving?
If they're willing to kill their own people, yes, they could survive. If you're willing to do that, you can survive. But how long they survive, don't know. How long this operation goes on, is a question, but it is going to be a very disciplined operation, both from the Israeli point of view and from Trump's point of view.
If it is, you just stunned me, Ed, to be totally frank with you, because if the leadership somehow survives, how is it possible to see this as a success? And I'm not talking about from a strategic point of view. I'm talking about from the public opinion point of view.
Well, because they will not be able to create missiles that could send a nuclear capable. Remember, they have enriched uranium that they've already enriched someplace in Iran. And they could turn that into some kind of a nuclear device, and they put it on a missile and send it our way. That's the danger, and by taking out the missiles and taking any chance that they do that, that is one of the purposes of this what's going on now militarily in Iran.
Yeah. And again, I just think that, and look, I could be wrong on this, but and hopefully we'll never find out. If there is any chance that the current regime in Iran is still in power at the conclusion of this operation, I think no matter what else happens, the mission would be deemed a total failure. I don't think that you can have as an acceptable resolution for this the regime still staying in power.
I think as long as, look, they were rebuilding their missile supply. And by the way, those are some of the missiles might be capable of taking out an aircraft carrier. I mean, these are the kinds of things you have to think about. And certainly by taking out their missile supply and and where they manufacture the missiles, and by making sure that, now look, the Iranians may come and say, okay, we got about 10 seconds. We will give up. We'll give up what we have, nuclear stuff. They might do something like that. So there are other resolutions to this which would be satisfactory for our defense purposes.
Ed Cox, thank you so much. James Golan, our number duo in the can. Our number trio coming up. The Princess of Policy will be coming up in the third hour, as well as America's Small Caffeinated Mom. And we're going to have another surprise visit from Joel Rosenberg and more. So whatever you do, keep it right here. Do not go away. Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.